Yeah, so MOKB is like the best independent promoter in Indiana. We have 3 venues that are owned by the company. Hi-Fi is the original flagship. We have Hi-Fi Annex, which is our larger outdoor venue that is behind the building that we opened during the pandemic and have kept it going, and it's grown. And then we have a developmental room upstairs called the Lo-Fi Lounge, which is 100 cap. And then we also do shows at other venues all around the state, such as the Clyde, Nickel Plate Amphitheater, Vogue, Hendrix Live, and many more. So yeah, that's us. I'm an associate buyer here, but I also have, just by the nature of my attention to detail and interest in data, have become what often is referred to as the air traffic controller or the glue, since we have multiple systems with the same information in different places, such as Prism and our ticketing platform and our website events and our Facebook events. And I tend to be the QC queen to make sure everything is, or I try my best to make sure that everything is the same across all things. So communicating to the teams when, if we have a age restriction change, that we communicate out to the team so we can get it updated in all the places, or if we have a support update, things like that.
Awesome. And about 400 shows a year, huh?
Yeah, at least.
That's an incredible amount of volume that you all do with a small team.
Which is why we need Prism.
I love that. So I heard you were recently anointed with a award at AIBA for being the Prism Queen. Is that right?
Yeah, if I had been thinking about it, I could have thrown on the sash and tiara for this call and immortalized forever, but I didn't think of it. So this is pretty typical for a show for us, where we have, an inside show, 400 cap, and then we have different ticket types. So then we have, your typical pre-sale. We'd like to split it up so you can see the difference between pre-sale, advanced, day of show. So then if we go over to Prism, I have my event, and then we just go over to revenue. And then it's real simple. All you got to do is hit link tickets. So then when I pull up the event, all of the ticket types are there that are in TIXR. And then the ones that I want to sync, we basically just sync everything but our comps because they're not important. And because there is no day of show box office advance or day of show type in Prism, we can just leave this blank as new ticket. And then we match up advance and day of show. And then through the magic of Prism will actually create it for me. So then when I hit save, it'll be synced since it's in TIXR. There it is. And I sold in some fake tickets, so it already is showing those 6 fake tickets as sold. And so we have our gross and everything in there. And so then we have all of our usual stuff in Prism that's available to see how the show's doing, our expenses, our revenue, and then our net show profitability.
Got it. So as you're selling tickets in TIXR, this all updates in real time, your net profit, your costs, the break-even numbers, all that.
Yep.
Can you also go down to rebate and show us how the rebate comes in as well?
Yeah, so it's actually here as a new column. Thank you, Rosie. Yeah, so the rebate is over here. If there is a rebate, it would pull over into the column here. And then as ticket sales go up, this would also update in real time. And then over on the sidebar, where is it? So we have all of our ticket revenue, but then in the additional revenue, it would update here. And so then when those shows are over and we do the settlement, we can just download a settlement and it will look like this. And you can see, for instance, that we had, our fake 300 tickets on our other platform. And then we have our TIXR tickets that came in through the integration for our total nets and the different costs that are on the settlement sheet. And then when we get asked by the agents or the artist teams after the show for settlement, then voila, it's just a push of a button, super easy.
So I jumped over to a hypothetical Prism here. This is showing the event list, and this populates in real time if you have a ticketing integration. So we have our event on the 10th, our event on the 11th, our event on the 22nd, and you can see they're yellow or green depending on where they are. There's also a red if a show is deeply undersold. So Dee, talk to me about this view and how you use it.
Yeah, so it's, for me, the event view is great because when we're going through and updating our, we just call it the grid. It's basically a tracker of how all the shows are doing, and then it adds up for each month where we are against our monthly goal. Rather than having to go into the ticketing platform and get the counts, and then go into Prism, into each event, and get the net profit amount. It's already all there in that list view. And so I can just have two windows open, with one with our tracker and one with the event list, and just pop in the ticket number sold, the current net profit, and boom. So for, the rest of the month, or actually for the rest of the year, we have, I forget how many more events we have yet in 2024. But with that list view, I can make our updates in probably about 10 minutes. Our finance people are in Prism settling shows and reconciling data and to the bank accounts, and just knowing that the data is correct in Prism coming over from our ticketing partners is crucial. So if the fruit of the tree is not good, then nothing else is good. So if we're pulling, ticket data that's 3 days out of sync, especially in the week up leading up to a show, we can have relatively big jumps in sales. And so, a show could have been at 150 last week, and they would staff with a certain number of bartenders based on that information. But if we sold another 150 in the last 5 days and they get crushed at the bar, that's not good either. So
yeah, and it sounds like then you must have your bar staff and finance staff all in Prism as that single source of truth, as opposed to giving everyone access to maybe pull those ticketing reports. You're using Prism as that hub.
I mean, there are some that can look at the actual ticketing platform, but there's more information to be had from Prism. And so this way we also can just give one access to one system instead of confusing them with lots of different systems and not knowing where to find everything in different places. So. And so in that meantime, we have probably at any given time close to 100 shows on sale. And it's not even just 100 shows. We have multiple ticket types per show. So to have to manually go in and update in Prism what our counts were, whereas it was constantly updating. We were not getting the most up-to-date info, and also just the effort and time, the manpower to keep it even slightly updated. I think we were maybe updating twice a week with counts, was very not ideal. If you think about just going into the other ticketing site, looking up each show, looking at having to double click on, how many advanced tickets, how many pre-sale tickets, if we have any other ticket types, and having to manually enter that onto our Prism event, and, basically manually going into every single event on both sites and making those updates. I would say conservatively, maybe 4 to 5 minutes per show. So then, we didn't have the net profit updates in real time that we used to have. We have everybody from our team looks at Prism for our counts. So our bar team, our production team, because they staff according to kind of where our counts are, and they want to know if it's going to be a really crowded show, they'll add more bartenders, or if if we need more security staff, things like that. So when that's not being updated, in real time, it was definitely a lot less smooth than it had been in the past, for not just for us and that are keeping track of our sales and just wanting to know how we're doing from a financial standpoint, but just from a very practical logistical perspective for the clubs and whatnot as well. So yeah, so it was a dark time. know that they definitely wanted to make sure that the integration would be in place. And to TIXR's credit, they absolutely understood the need for it, and they're very nimble at implementing tech changes when we find things, and they're very quick to implement requests that we have. And
they made sure the Prism integration was working, day one for y'all, which we appreciate. But even outside of the Prism integration, what's it like to work with TIXR?
So far, we love them all. They've been great. We work with Sarah and Evan, so shout out to them. Like I said, they've been very nimble at like making updates to things that we request. They have kind of a standard ticket auto count report, and rather those are on a show by show basis. We ask for like basically a customized company one that shows like all of our shows in one list, and their data science team put something together, and we're like, well, no, actually, can you do this? Can you filter out comps? Can you add in a column for the number unsold so we can see how many are sold, how many are unsold, things like that. So, and they're very quick to respond to all of our requests. We have weekly meetings with our marketing team and the buyer team, and we'll basically do a rundown of all of the shows we have coming up. Review where we are on where the marketing team is on ad spends and whatnot, and to see they can look at how ads are performing. We can look at how a show is doing, and like, do we need to throw a little bit more money into the marketing pot to try to goose the sales some. We also might look at which ones are struggling, that we can see, like, even if something might have sold a deceivingly high number of tickets, if it also has a high guarantee and may not be profitable yet. So being able to see in real time where the show is with the net profit and isn't in the black yet or not, really informs what we're doing. And even if it is already into profitability, what can we do to make it more profitable and keep selling more tickets to maybe help some of the other shows that may not be doing as well as we thought they would have. So, like looking at all of our shows collectively, like we have monthly goals, and I'm actually the one that updates the tracker of where we are on a monthly basis across all of our shows and all of the venues. So it's really helpful to be able to look at it at a high level, and then also be able to drill down on a show by show basis as well.
I want to ask you about settlement. How has this transformed your settlement process? And we hear things like, people who had to be at the show settling don't have to be there anymore, and you can have a promoter rep do it. And I don't want to lead the question too much, but if you could talk robustly about how this has impacted your settlement, that would be awesome.
I think having the integration definitely is good, because then we know we have the most up-to-date data in Prism coming over from TIXR. And so then that makes it just that much more, error proof for our show leads. So they can trust what they're seeing in the settlement better. Actually got to see a demo at IEBA of Insights, and it's really slick, and it's I love data, so anything where we get more of it is great, and it's going to be really helpful from a booking standpoint, where there are times when we think we have an idea of how something will do, and having a more comparable pool of data, and which makes it in a way more reliable, especially if we want to look at for a band, they may tour in like California and the East Coast, and we know the Midwest markets might be a lot softer. We can filter for Midwest states and look at how those ones do versus the coasts, and see if there's a significant difference, stuff like that. So being able to slice and dice the data and get a more realistic picture of what we think will happen with our shows.
In full circle, the ticketing integration also adds a level of legitimacy to that other reporting tools don't have, because it's self-reporting. So yeah.
Yes. And also, I think it can also help us, because I think we're manually reporting things to Polestar, and to not have to, I think if we can we'll be able to just export that and send it to Polestar.
Yeah, in theory, you could do an export from Prism pretty easily and set up the custom columns and whatnot. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that would, it's going to be basically the same data going into Prism. But I mean, also it's nice knowing like once we settle the show, it's just going into the data pool, and we really don't have to do anything extra to get it to you. Whereas it's a very manual process for Polestar.